Hi, and welcome to the first new episode of Series 2 of Concert Pot. I get every
Do that again.
No, I
just leave it.
It's part of the charm.
It's part of the charm, I get it. It's Gods and Rock.
I can't work with people like this.
No, is it? Are we too amateur for you, Krusher?
We'll interview each other.
Right, so welcome
Is
to
that
the...
going to pick up?
Yeah. We'll turn it round and,
Right.
we'll do all that sort of stuff. And we're super stoked, actually. We've got a legend of British heavy metal with us today.
Cheers.
Yeah. Keith and his good friend Krusher. How you doing, mate?
I'm alive. I'm alive and well, thank you.
Good man. And so we've known each other for a good few years now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's been good fun times. But I tell you the one thing I think that I admire about you, apart from anything you've done in your life, is your dress sense.
No, go on, sorry. Go on.
Yeah, your dress sense, your choice in footwear.
Oh, yeah.
Leather underwear. I've seen your collection, studded and non-studded in two different drawers. Both wonderful things. You fucking one hell of a designer, Krusher.
I have designed a few things in my time, to be quite honest. Surprise myself sometimes.
Yeah.
I go through my old portfolios looking for something, and I've got a box as well. A box that's full of, that when you send an album out in the post, those brown things.
The record mailers.
Yeah, and it's just got it's full of those, and it's just got band names written on it: Tank, Hawkwind, AC/DC, Blue Oyster Cult, Motorhead, Black Sabbath, Robert Plant, you name them, Dolly Parton, the Nolans. I bet you didn't know I designed for the Nolans, did you?
No. What did
I
you
designed
design
a logo.
A logo?
I designed a logo. I got it was what are they called, those fancy pens, begins with an S. I've got one down there. It's
So what?
No, the bigger one. Sharpie. Yeah, I just got a Sharpie and I wrote the Nolans, right?
Yeah.
And we love that. That's great. I said, but it's just, no, that's it.
Was it still like on the layout paper?
It was just on a piece of paper, and that was it. It's, I've got a T-shirt with it still on somewhere. And it's just the Nolans.
Yeah.
They loved it.
Okay,
it's when the Nolans did a single with Lemmy.
Right.
Did you know about that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Google it. The Nolans and Lemmy, and it was a single. I think they did Top of the Pops with Lemmy on it, and there was some very compromising photographs of them backstage.
Super. Because that's interesting. And you'd also done Japan as well, didn't you?
Japan, Tin Drum.
Yeah.
I designed that. Well, I say I designed it. Finn Costello did all. Finn Costello and David Sylvain did all the real work on it, setting up the set, and Finn took the picture. All I did was get a bit of Electroset and did the titles and whatever, and said that goes there, that's that colour, and design.
Yeah, that's what it is. So and we must take a picture of this for the thing, but just framed on the wall there is Ozzy Osbourne Diary of a Man graphics, hand drawn. Everything was hand drawn, and that above it, obviously they can't see it, but there's an Ozzy Osbourne logo. Yeah, which actually was a reject, but because I left them a good quality photocopy of it, it turned up on, funny enough, on one of his single covers, which I didn't get any kind of credit for. Bastards.
Well, that's fucking Osbournes and Yardens for you.
Yeah.
Not so much Ozzy, it's the cloven-hoofed witch he's married to.
Your dad wasn't much better, though.
His dad was a fucking thug. He was a fucking bastard of the... Are we allowed to swear?
Yeah, oh, fucking hell, Krusher, yeah. This
He
is...
was a fucking bastard of the first degree. First time I ever met him, he threatened to shoot my fucking dog. But we'll talk about that later.
You did that in episode 5.
What are you doing now?
I'm just turning up the dials, Krusher.
You're twiddling, aren't you?
I'm twiddling the knobs. It's not that I'm not interested in what you're saying.
You
I just
are.
want to fucking make sure I captured exactly what you're saying.
Yes, I remember to speak into the mic. Yes.
Speak into the mic.
Yeah.
So you done the art college thing?
Yeah, I did. I did Hereford College of Art. I think it was 1970. I had to do a 2-year foundation course because when I was at Ledbury Grammar School,
Yeah.
I failed all my O-levels on purpose, apart from art,
Yeah.
which they
good.
failed me. They failed my art one. And
Is that because they had no vision?
they're absolutely just, I could understand why the other 6 were failed because I probably didn't even bother writing my name on them. But yeah, and I'd had an interview or gone to Hereford College of Art to talk about doing a foundation course, and when it was we will accept you, but you've got to get your O levels, and when I didn't get them. The very nice man who was running Hereford College of Art said, well, look, we'll let you do a 2-year foundation course, but you've got to pass, I think it was 2 O-levels in my first year and 2 A-levels in my second year. And I actually came away with 2 O-levels and 3 A-levels after 2 years. And those were the 2 best years of education I ever got anywhere. Was at Hereford College of Art. They were brilliant because it's a foundation course. You do a bit of everything.
Yeah.
And so that was great. But I actually loved print, doing lithography, screen, lino, etching. I love doing etchings.
Yeah, etching was great.
Because you can always show a young lady your etchings.
Yeah, you can.
But you can't say that sort of thing these days, can you?
No.
But I did show young ladies my etchings.
Yeah, were they well received?
Yes, absolutely. One of them's just been used as an album cover for a guy called David Palfreyman.
Right.
I can't remember what the album's called, but he came round to my place. He was actually digitising all my old Noisy Mothers and radio shows, and he's a lovely man. And we were going through some artwork, and he saw the etching. He said, "Oh, I love that." He said, "I'm doing an album. Can I use it for the cover?" I said, "Yeah, absolutely." That's from like 1971.
Okay.
But yeah, anyway, getting back to Hereford. Hereford was great. I loved Hereford. Absolutely loved it, every moment of it. And I was also seeing some good bands then, because Malvern Winter Gardens was
Of course, yeah.
But there are a couple of gigs in Hereford, one of them being Slade. I can't remember where it was in Hereford, but I remember it was in Hereford. Fuck me, everybody talks about, Motorhead and Man of War being loud. That's probably the loudest gig I've ever been to.
Yeah.
It was, the walls were shaking. And the other one was Dave Edmunds. I love Dave Edmunds because, he's a... Well,
he's fairly local.
Rockfield Studio.
Yeah, of course.
But, anyway, so then I got accepted because I was exceptionally good at Goldsmiths. Actually, St Martin's refused me. There was a couple of art colleges that I wanted to go to, but Goldsmiths accepted me.
Yeah. And Goldsmith's got a global reputation.
Well, apparently, yeah. Malcolm McLaren, Damien Hirst, Tracy Emin.
All there, mate.
They weren't there when I was there, that's for sure. But anyway, I hated it. I did 3 years at... 3 years at Goldsmiths. I had a great social life, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Wonderful social life. In fact, I'm reading a book on Gary Moore at the moment. It's a good book. It's called White Knuckles. Can't remember who wrote it. But I've just got this chapter. It's quite early. It's the 70s. And it goes, and then Gary started dating Jeannie Campbell. And I'm like, hang on, Jeannie Campbell, I used to share a flat with Jeannie Campbell, and then it all came flooding back. I didn't know that she was going out with him, but I got a knock at the front door one day, and I could go down the stairs to open the front door because we were on the first floor, and there's this guy, long hair, and he's got bandages more round the bottom of his face, and he goes, "Is Jeannie here?" And I said, "Jeannie, the fucking invisible man's here to see you." Right? And he wasn't particularly. Anyway, they disappeared into Jeannie's room.
Yeah.
And sometime later, after he'd left, I was talking to him, to her, and she said, "Oh yeah, he goes out with my sister Donna," and they had a bit of a ruckus, and someone, or a ruckus over her, and someone in the bar broke a glass and put it in his face. And yeah, so that's how and later on in years, I designed a couple of tour programmes for Gary Moore, but I never brought that up, actually. But yeah, bloody Jeannie Campbell. And she was at Goldsmiths.
Right.
And yeah, getting back to Goldsmiths. And yeah, I hated Goldsmiths so much. No, I actually didn't hate it. It was bad. By the third year, I really did hate it. But the first year, I kind of, I had some good fun. I did a painting called Fuck Art, Let's Dance.
I remember you'd done that
Just
before
Google it.
anybody else.
Google it.
Yeah.
It's making millions for fucking a lot of other people apart from me, And that I'm not bitter and twisted about it.
But
I'm fucking upset. Though.
yeah, I'd be fucking fuming, mate.
Yeah.
So after then, how did the Kerrang thing happen?
They failed. Well, no. If you want the whole fucking story, they failed. They failed me.
Jets,
Sorry.
Goldsmiths failed me, right? And I more or less got an immediate job working for the South East London and Kentish Mercury, basically designing adverts for them, for local companies that wanted an ad designing. I'd never done any graphics. I just bullshitted my way into it, and then found my way, around a drawing board and set square and letraset.
Yeah. Road trim pens.
Oh, they were lovely, weren't they?
Yeah.
Well, they're all road trim pens.
Yeah.
And I think I was there for at least a year, and it's all because this was all based in Deptford. That's where we were. What happened in Deptford? There was an old housing, a council housing estate that all the dockers used to live in, and then when the docks shut down, the dockers all moved out, and they basically let it to students, or let students move in. And I remember that I think it was called the Bird's Nest, our local pub. And on a Friday night, you'd have Dire Straits playing, but they weren't called Dire Straits, or something Horses or something. On a Saturday night, you'd have Squeeze playing. And on a Sunday, there was this amazing black saxophone player who wiped the floor with Squeeze and Dire Straits. But I actually used to live in, I think it was 12 Farrer House. I could be wrong with the name of the house. And in number 2 Farrer House, below me, lived the Knopfler brothers, Mark Knopfler and David Knopfler. And I remember once having to write a bloody essay or something for Goldsmiths, and they're below me playing or rehearsing, and there's a white room with black curtains over and fucking over, and I remember getting the broom and banging on the floor, shut the fuck up, I'm trying to work up here. I should have been more friendly to them. I didn't realise they were going to become multi-millionaires. Yeah. I would have borrowed a cup of sugar or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so Deptford was like out of Deptford came a lot. And there's a great piece of graffiti. It said, Today Deptford, tomorrow the world.
Superb.
Yeah, and there was like someone had put, because Millwall was someone had written Millwall across one of the bricks, big brick buildings, and someone underneath it had put brick wall, and then someone underneath that had put Max Wall. And Love Over Gold, Dire Straits did Love It. That was a piece of graffiti in Deptford.
Was it?
That they could see from their bedroom windows.
There was there's a block of flats when I grew up, where my mum was, and somebody had hand painted the entire length of the block of flats in Worselt. Pat Davis doesn't pay catalogue money.
Yeah, brilliant. Those were the days when, the graffiti was fucking brilliant, and none of this fancy stuff, just good old expressions. But yeah, Deptford was actually it was a thriving hub, and as I say, I worked for the South East London Kentish Mercury that was based in Deptford High Street, and then I got chatted up by this girl called Cheryl in a pub in, I think it was over in Catford Way, not Catford, no, Crystal Palace Way. So it's kind of a fancy pub that everybody was. Oh, we've got to go there, it's the in-place to go. And this Cheryl chatted me up, and I ended up going out with her. And her father actually set me up freelance. And he was a bit of a jack of all trades. He worked for Total Oil,
right.
And he got me a really nice office in... Campbell, I think it was, or Campbell High Street, something like that. And I shared it with I'm never sure what Arthur did, but Arthur had an office there as well.
Yeah.
And he gave me, my first commission was from Total Oil, to do some stuff, some roughs and stuff for Total Oil. And then through that, I then had a little bit of stuff in my portfolio, and I started going around the record companies, the major record companies, who all said no. And quickly going back to, his name was Don, right? And just Don,
another Don.
And he was, he was involved with Total Oil. He was also very involved with the boxing world, and we used to go to a lot of see boxing matches, and we'd have front row seats. And I wasn't a boxing fan at all, but having gone to see one and been that close and see how hard they hit each other, and the sound
when it lands, that punch.
It's just unbelievable. But anyway, one of the last things that Don said to me was, he said, right, we're going down the pub. I was round at their house, and Cheryl and his mum were making dinner. And he said, right, we're going down the pub. And he went down the pub, he said, bought me a pint, sat down, and he said, right, Cheryl, we're sending Cheryl to America for 3 months. And you're very welcome to go with her, but you'll be going in a fucking wheelchair. I said, okay, right, great, yeah, lovely. I get the message. And said, right, drink up, we'll go back for dinner now. And that was, so that was the end of me and Cheryl, basically. But he started me off, and because I had a portfolio and the major record companies had basically said, fuck off, I then started going to the little indies, and there was a label called The Label, who liked my stuff, and my first record sleeve that I designed was for a punk band called Eater. And their claim to fame was their drummer, Degenerate, who was 12 years old.
Wow.
Right? And I think off the back of that, they had a little bit of success. But I designed it was get your yo-yos out, take on the Stones, get your yah-yahs out. And it was a live 4-track EP, and it came in red, green, blue, and possibly orange covers. So it was, it's a very simple design. But you know how normally when you get by a single, it either comes out of the right-hand side of the cover or from the top of the cover. But because this was my first ever one, right, and you have to do it, you on a, what do you call it?
Board.
Yeah, on board, and you've got your front, your back, the little bits that have to be stuck together,
and cut out. And all that.
And my get your yo-yos out. That's the fucker. The record came out the left side, so it's probably the first one to ever do that.
Nice white vinyl.
I've got red vinyl, I think, upstairs. But yeah, I mean, those are all the tricks then back then, weren't they? Put it out in different colours or different pictures. And I remember Motorhead. Mind you, this was a bit later. They did one for No Class, which had a picture of Lemmy on one cover, a picture of Fast Eddie, and a picture of Filthy on another. And the reason being, I'm a fan, I'm going to buy all three.
Yeah.
And promote the.
Have you seen the publicity that they're doing for the Stones' new album, for Hackney Diamonds? It's coming out in God knows how many different colours.
Yeah.
It's all sorts.
Yeah, that's a good album actually.
I'm waiting for mine to come. Postman missed me the other day.
I've been listening to them on iTunes, and I've got to admit, I think it's probably the best Stones album they've done. For fucking.
Probably Some Girls.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. There's some great tracks on it. That Angry, that was a great single. There's a track called, I think it's Bite My Head, with Paul McCartney on bass.
That's right, he plays along with the tracks.
That's a fucking little monster, that is. And there's a bit in it where McCartney's, all right, Paul, let's hear some bass. And it's like, boys, good old fucking rocker.
Yeah.
And I love the Lady Gaga.
That's the latest single, isn't it? I think that's been on the radio.
I love it.
That's a great song.
It reminds me a bit of Exiles on Main Street kind of theme, and she's just absolutely brilliant on it. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
But another one I'm listening to at the moment is Dolly Parton, Rockstar.
Yeah, that's right. She's done it.
Well, it's not out yet.
No, who's it?
But they've been promoting it for months, right? And I think it first came out, like with the Hackney, on iTunes, you get, they'll put a track up, and with Dolly Parton they put this one track up, and it was like, actually that's not bad. Then I think the second track they put up was her duetting with fucking Rob Halford on a track called Bygones, which I didn't like to start off with, but I've been listening to it a few times and it's really good. Yeah. But I mean, I'd be interested to, and she's done We Are the Champions.
Yeah.
With a little segue of We Will Rock You at the end. Dolly Parton, it's just fucking surreal. Dolly Parton singing We Are the Champions and We Will Rock You. But in a funny sort of way, it works.
Yeah. Well, I listened to this week for the first time the Preachny single, Panic Attack. Which I quite liked. And it still amazes me that, even though some of these guys we're talking about are quite old now, they're still knocking out some great shit.
Well, as I say, that Stones track, there's a few tracks on there which you think for their fucking age, you're giving some fucking youngsters good run for their money there. There's some tracks on it, I don't say they're throwaway tracks, but the more gentle side of things. But no, all in all, I've been listening to it on my walks, my daily walks. And one, it makes me walk faster.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
That's always a good thing.
But the best one for walking faster is the last Metallica album. That really, can break records on that.
Yeah, and legs.
And but the one we don't talk about is, of course, the new Roger Waters album.
Yeah. When we were chatting last week, you were saying how much of a bit of a fucking.
Well, imagine a trophy hunter on the great plains of rock, and there's all these great albums stalking across, living the life of, I'm 50 fucking years old and I'm magnificent. And this fucker has shot it, skinned it, gutted it and just left its carcass to fucking fester and rot on the plains of rock. You know, it's...
I'm guessing you're talking about Dark Side, do you?
Yeah.
I've not heard it.
It's fucking Dark Side for old age pensioners.
Yeah.
And he talks a fucking lot on it. It's like it's 5 minutes longer than the original. And it's like, it's almost, you know, like jazz swing. On the dark side. You know, and it's like...
So you're not a fan?
Well, the first couple of tracks that came out, I thought, oh, well, this is going to be interesting. But, because it was the same process, you know, I think they released 3 tracks before the whole thing came out. And me thinking, oh, this is going to be big. I bought the black vinyl version, the orange vinyl, the gold cassette, the deluxe CD version, the T-shirt, and final all of that, you get a print, a limited edition print. Mine's 1,181. But the idea was, I don't know if you've seen, but there's a lot of auctions go on these days, and stuff that is still sealed, you know, albums that are still sealed, are going for fucking stupid money. So I thought, right, I'll buy this, leave it in the box, and leave it to me, you know, grandchildren. And thinking, you know, and I think I've that gamble's not going to come off well.
Yeah. You never know, do you?
You never know, but no. Yeah. But I know I'm being very, very critical here. I've listened to it a few times. Again, it's not walking music, that's for sure. Whereas I listened to the 50th anniversary, the new 2023 version of the original Dark Side of the Moon. And just, you know, it's like, fuck, it really is a fucking masterpiece. Yeah. And you listen to the Roger Waters one, it's like, oh, no, mate, you know. But it's just the talking. And he seems to love the sound of his own voice. And some of the things he's talking about, it's like, who's that then? And you find out who it is, it's some poet or whatever. And it's like, well, what the fuck's that got to do with Dark Side? It's fucking shite.
Well, should we tell him to fuck off on that one?
Yeah, fuck off.
I just think you need to get off the wall.
I mean, he did those couple of gigs, didn't he?
Yeah.
And that, I mean, the music went down well, but his reading from a laptop of, you know, his unreleased biography, or autobiography, whatever it is, it didn't go down too well, especially the 20-minute story about his fucking pet duck. Yeah. Where someone, I think, told him to fucking get on with it, and he told him to fuck off. Yeah. And they did. And having paid 300 quid a ticket, I wouldn't have fucked off.
No, I would have stayed and listened to the music.
I would have stayed and fucking heckled a bit more.
Maybe you should have called it Quack Side of the Moon.
Yes. You could, very good. Very good.
It's quick.
Good.
It's
very good.
Quick. You saw me pick it off the tree.
But yeah, where was
Kerrang.
Kerrang,
No, we haven't got to Kerrang.
No, we haven't got to Kerrang yet.
I'm still talking about
around the corner.
Eater, yeah, the label.
Yo-yos out.
And then the second single I did was for the label, and that was for Dave Goodman and Friends, a single called Justifiable Homicide. And Dave Goodman, who's one of there's 3 guys who ran the label, he was one of them. He was the original producer for the Sex Pistols. Right. I think he also taught Sid how to play bass.
Well, both notes.
Yeah, but he's a great guy, and on the single, he had there's quite a few names from punk bands that I can't fucking remember, but there's one punk band I do remember called the Sex Pistols, and he had Steve Jones and Paul Cook playing on it, and when we got the printer's proof, I managed to get it coming out the right side.
The right side.
You know. When I got the printer's proof, I remember them saying, "Oh fuck, we're going to have to," because I had the names all on the back. They said, "We're going to take those names out for legal reasons, contractual reasons, and all that." So I still got the printer's proofs with the names on. Wow! But the actual single came out; it didn't have the names on. It's quite. I can't remember what it's about. I think it's fairly political about obviously someone who died in prison or something. But yeah, so then because of that, then I was getting quite a lot of work from the label. Some other stuff I did was for a reggae band called, what the fuck were they called? Can't remember. They were good. They were good. First single was called Finsbury Park. But anyway, I then had enough stuff to sort of, go and see other people and getting dribs and drabs. But one of my big heroes was a guy called Barney Bubbles.
Yeah, remember him.
Yeah, Barney Bubbles he designed all the great Hawkwind covers. Right, yeah. Stiff Records, he came up with the "If it's not stiff, it ain't worth a fuck." He came up with that. And Elvis Costello, there's so many covers he did. And talking about single covers that went wrong, he did a brilliant one for Elvis Costello, which was for Mistakes Will Happen, and it was full colour, right? But when it was put together, it was inside out. So it was a white thing. But if you opened it up and looked inside, you could see. He was a genius. Barney was a genius. He looked like a little pixie, actually. But I just got a hold of a London phone directory and looked him up, and he was in it. He had a studio in Covent Garden, and I phoned him up, said, "Look, you don't know who the fuck I am, but, I've done this, this and this. Would you have a look at my portfolio?" He said, "Yeah, I'd love to, come round." And he loved it, and he said, "Look, what I do on, I think it was on a Thursday, every second Thursday night, there's a few of you whose work I like, and I invite you all to come over to the studio. We'll get stoned, have a few beers, and I'll talk about some of the stuff that I've done and some of the stuff that I'm going to be working on, and milk you for ideas for it."
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, fair enough. And that went on for a few weeks, and then I think he milked us for everything he could get out of us, and that sort of fizzled away. But then one day I met up in my Terror Tower, which was a tower block that I used to live in, and I had my studio in there as well. Because because of the falling out with the
American girl.
Well, she wasn't American, but she'd gone to America for 3 years. She was actually very London Cockney. But anyway, the phone rings and it's Barney, and he goes, "Look, I remember seeing in your portfolio you've done a few holiday brochures and stuff like that. Do you reckon you could do a tour programme?" I said, "Yeah." He says, I think it's only 16 pages, not normal 24. I said, yeah, piece of piss. Who's it for? Blondie. And it was the Parallel Lines tour.
Wow.
Which is 77 or 78. I always get that wrong. It says 77 or 78, and it's where they took off. Right, that's where they actually fucking took off. So I had to go over to this office in Great Western Road to pick up the, because you pick up the photos and the copy and everything. It's not like computers.
Yeah.
And you disappear and you come back and you put it all together. And I picked it up, and when I got to these offices, it was a house, right? But I think pretty sure it had a cellar, and I'm pretty sure it had 2 floors above the ground floor, three-story house. And I had to go straight up to the top story to see Eve, who was the merchandise woman who was doing it for. And I just got vibe about this place. It's like, well, this is an interesting place, And anyway, when I went back with the artwork, I went back to pick up a couple of copies of the programme and my cheque. And when I get to the officer, she says, "Oh, my husband Doug, he's in the office down below. He wants to see you about some more work." So I went down, and it was Doug Smith, who was Motorhead's manager.
Right.
And he said, "We really love what you did with the Blondie one. I want you to do one for Motorhead." And it was their first ever tour programme, and it was for the Overkill tour, which I always said the All About Being Loud. I always thought it was about the All About Being Loud tour, but later on found out it was for the Overkill tour. And that was the start of a great relationship, because through Doug, I got to work for Hawkwind, Girls' School, Ted Nugent, Blue Oyster Cult. My first big boy album cover, Hawkwind Live '79. That was through Doug. Tank. You know, I designed that fucking logo, which again, people are making a fucking lot of money off, and I'm not. Especially as James Hetfield wears it on his Battle Zone jacket.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so through Doug and Eve, I had a really good portfolio.
Yeah.
And I remember going in again to pick up a check, and Finn Costello, the legendary photographer, you know, Kiss Alive, Deep Purple, Burn, Rush, you name it, he's fucking done the lot. He was there, and he said, look, I really like what you're doing with tour programs. I'm doing one with Rush. Would you be interested? And I said, yeah, absolutely. And it was called Words and Pictures Volume 2. And there was some, I had all the original black and white pictures, right, that would be worth a fortune now. And not only that, I had several of the original lyrics that Neil Peart had written in a very flowery, lovely style, and I had to put it all together. And I think back now, if I'd have kept a few of those, you know, I mean, I've got the original lyrics to All the Aces by Lemmy for Motorhead, you know, off the Bomber one, because that was supposed to go into the Bomber tour program, but in the end it was like, nah, leave it, and they never asked for it back.
Good.
But then again, I never used to get my artwork back that I'd given them for, you know, like I did one tour program for Hawkwind, the 10th anniversary, which I did mostly on acid. And when I look at it now, it's like, how the fuck did you do that? And it was, honestly, it was a work of love. And all the original artwork, you know, it was finished. All they had to do was scan it. You know, there's, maybe dropping in the odd photograph, but the actual everything else was, it was all done and hand lettered everything on it.
Wasn't that the great thing about the LPs, wasn't it, back in those days?
Yeah.
The covers.
Yeah.
Like, to me, they were almost like as much an integral part as the music.
Yeah.
But I was young, I'd look at the cover think, oh God, I don't know what they're like, but I love the cover, I'm going to buy it.
Yeah, shame up.
I can't shut him up. He's got his own volume button.
No, it's all right. But where was I? No, see, I've forgotten. Oh yeah, the Hawkwind, and that artwork I would love to have now, and you know, I'd frame it. I'd be really proud of it, but that never came back. But anyway, through Finn Costello and that tour program, the next time I saw him, he goes, right, my next project is Diary of a Madman, Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah.
I've already done his first solo album. You want to come on board? I said, yeah. He said, what? He said, go away. Think of some ideas, right? And then what I'll do is we'll build a set around the idea and take it all from there. And the original idea that I have got it somewhere, because you know, you do back then again you're using magic markers, and you know it's all just a rough, rough. And what it was a like, you know, one of those like big ancient books, leather bound, that was open, right? And there was this young girl who was like, with a look of horror on her face, looking into it. And there was Ozzy, it was like a Hammer horror film set with a castle thing, and there's a door in the background with Ozzy coming in, seeing the girl reading his diary. That was supposed to be the original, the idea for it, but they took it, just kept the castle bit and did their... But yeah, and of course, you know, I did all the hand lettering and shit for the inside cover, all the lyrics and that.
Yeah.
And then I was on my way. Then it was like Speak of the Devil, Die of a Madman, Bark at the Moon.
Wasn't it? Yeah.
Then it was Black Sabbath, Born Again, Live After Death for Iron Maiden, a couple of ones for Gary Moore. I mean, yeah, Japan. I banged them out. And then I stopped.
Yeah.
Because bands are such a fucking pain in the arse to fucking work with. You do a masterpiece and they go, oh, can you change this to that? You know, and it's like, oh, fuck off. You know. No.
And I suppose you're dealing with
idiots. You're dealing with fucking... Get on with the music, leave the design to me, right?
Yeah, exactly. But you're dealing with a ton of fucking egos in every band.
Oh,
and
God,
managers and fucking record labels and...
Yeah. But tour programmes, I mean, I went through them the other day, and I still think there's a couple that I've missed. But so far, I've found 40 tour programmes that I designed, and one which I didn't design, but I wrote the notes for inside it, which was for David Coverdale, Whitesnake.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Yeah, and I remember him...
There's no ego there, is there?
But they'd been sent to me. He was in America somewhere, so it was night time when I was... they said, oh, he's going to call you around such and such a time. And he called, and he said, is this a good time to call? I said, no, actually, Coronation Street's on. Can you call back in half an hour? And he thought I was joking, but I wasn't. But anyway, he didn't. He said, no, we've got to do this now, you know. And yeah, then it was like, no, can you take this out? Can you take that? I put a little great story about him meeting Sid Vicious, or putting Sid Vicious down at the Speakeasy Club, and he wanted that taking out. And it's like, no, mate, that's a great story, you know. But no. But yeah, 40 of the fuckers. And then, when I had a really superb portfolio, which included Diary of a Madman and the Hawkwind Live 79, I'd noticed Kerrang. I'd been reading Kerrang, and I think it had got to about, I don't know, issue early 30s, right? Or no, I could be lying, actually, no, maybe late 20s. Anyway, I phoned out Alan Lewis, the editor, and said, will you have a look at my portfolio?
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, meet me in I think it was the White Swan pub, which is at the back of the Royal Opera House, because the Kerrang offices were just above Covent Garden Tube Station, and the pub was next to Covent Garden Tube Station. And we went in there, and I remember it was just before Christmas. It was quite busy, and I got we had a nice little place in the corner, table in the corner, and I'm going through it, and he says, I love it, I love what you're doing. He says, right, what I'd like you to do is redesign the mastheads. You know, that's like the news and albums and, you know, just gigs and that. And I went away, and I did the Kerrang spiky lettering on all of them, but he hadn't asked me to redesign the logo. But I did it, right, thinking, you know, you can't have all this on the inside without this going on the outside. And when he saw the logo, he fucking loved it. And he said, right, yeah. And I said, now hang on, I've designed the mastheads because you asked me to design the mastheads, but I didn't, I've done the logo, that's a separate thing. And I pay me for the mastheads, and that's a flat payment. Yeah. But I want something for that Kerrang logo every time it's used on the cover. And it was a pittance that I got, but yeah. I agreed to it, which now brings me to a point where Kerrang is now back out in the newsagents, and they're using my logo.
Nice.
And I have got the solicitor's letter next door waiting to go off.
Yeah.
They've tidied, they've straightened it. because mine was originally hand lettered.
Yeah.
So you've got, you know.
They computerised it.
They
haven't
computerised it, yeah. But yeah, no, I'm not happy with that.
No, I wouldn't be.
No. So yeah, you fuckers, you can expect a fucking call soon.
What was it like in those days of Kerrang? 'Cause it must be fucking wild, must it?
It was fucking wild. I mean, I played it for the first few weeks, and it was only just 2 or 3 weeks. I was the good boy. I mean, they would all go out for lunch at about 11:30 and come back about 3. No, that's exactly. But no, some days it was like that. And I remember once, and I did have short hair back then. There's a picture of me there with like at the office with a tank top and a tie and collar, and I got a little bullseye with me. I used to take bullseye, my little Jack Russell with me everywhere, and I looked so fucking straight. But anyway, they would all fuck off for lunch, and I'd be the good boy. I'd take my sandwiches in with me, you know, carry on working, and also because it was the first magazine I'd ever designed, all on my own. I had done some other magazines in the past, but you know, we had like 2 or 3 people doing designing various parts of the magazine, and I remember one day Ross Halfin, the legendary photographer, who we all like to call Gross Halfwit, because he's such a fucking miserable, rude bastard. But anyway, he came in with Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top, right? And he goes, "Where is everybody?" I said, "Oh, you know, they're all down the fucking pub, you know that." And Billy Gibbons he said, "Oh, this is Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top." And he goes, "Oh, I'm pleased to meet you, man, you know. Do you, what's your job?" I said, I'm designer. He said, "Oh, really? Did you have any Kerrang headed note paper?" I said, "We do, but it's not got my logo on it. It's got the old logo. But we got some compliment slips with my new logo on." I said, could I take a few of those?" And I gave him a few of them. He said, "Oh, thank you so much." And went in his pocket and gave me a badge, and it said, "I made it to the top." Hey, Billy Gibbons. And then, yeah, after a while, and then of course everyone would come back pissed, and it'd be quite a joyous atmosphere. And there was music playing constantly, fucking loud.
Yeah.
And I remember, you know, people like Xavier Russell coming in with you know, this band called Metallica. You know, you've got to listen to this fucking tape. And it's like, fucking hell, someone's coming to Slayer, fucking hell. And that's what it was like. And you'd have people like Pete Makowski.
God, yeah, there was some legendary. I mean, to me, they were almost as. I used to get Kerrang every week from day one.
Yeah.
And they were almost as legendary as the bands you listened to.
Yeah. Well, Pete
Mick Wall
Makowski.
and Jeff Barton.
Yeah.
And all those guys.
Well, Mick Wall, I got him his job back because at the time he was coming out of being a junkie. And Pete Makowski was a junkie, and he'd come in the office and he'd go, "Oh, right, all right, guys, I won't be a bit sad, I've just got to go loo," right? 20 minutes later, he comes out, and they'd be like, "Right, I've got this fucking great new single from UFO, listen to this," and you put it on the fucking track, you know, on the death deck, come and sit down, and you suddenly see the blood trickling down. Like, Pete, oh, right, yeah, all right. You couldn't let me a tenner, could you? It's like, fuck off. But yeah, Makowski, Dave Dixon, I mean, Dante Benuto, Malcolm Dome, Jeff Barton, they were all fucking there. And it was golden days from
definitely
from whenever it started. I actually started working for them in I think late January '83. I think I saw Barton just before Christmas '82, and when I went in. To pick up my check, he said, "Do you want the job as designer?" And I said, "Yeah, I'd love it, but again, I want to stay as a freelance." You know,
Wasn't it an offshoot from Sounds?
Yeah,
originally?
yeah. It was.
Yeah,
They just did it as
yeah.
a one-off. It was supposed to be a one-off.
Yeah,
A one-off
I remember.
because they wanted to put. Because Sounds was good, but they couldn't put colour into it. It was black and white. You know, it's a news sheet. And so they wanted, and of course there's so many great colour photographs coming from the gigs and that. So they went, right, let's try it, you know, just do it, just have some colour. And they weren't expecting the success, and it just took off. And sadly, I mean, I did buy one recently just to check out the logo. And the design in it is so fucking boring. I mean, you know, I look back on those designs now. I fucked some of them up. You know, you couldn't read the words and stuff. But in general, it fucking looked amazing.
Yeah.
You know, I was put up twice for Designer of the Year at the Publishing Awards. It's something British Publishing Awards, something. You know, Dickie Bow and
proper posh dude.
you know, Grosvenor House and stuff like that. I didn't win, but it meant that I was highly commended.
Yeah.
And it meant that I was considered to be one of the top 5 magazine designers in the country.
Fucking
And I
get
got that twice.
Yeah.
And then when fucking EMAC took it over, because I fucking had the fucking manager, or, you know, the CEO, whatever he's fucking called, up against the wall on the fucking first day that they bought us. You know, it took a year to get rid of me, but yeah, they got rid of me.
Yeah, it doesn't happen.
And then it went fucking, then it just went to shit.
Yeah.
It really did.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't just because of me leaving, it was a whole series of fucking things. And yeah, they've started firing, you know, all the good journalists and bringing in the journalists who were all also good journalists, but they're journalists who deserted Kerrang to start Raw magazine, and Raw magazine was on its legs, so they all came back to Kerrang.
Yeah.
And yeah, the politics of shiteness. Yeah, so anyway, how long have we been bloody blabbing on here for?
It's been an hour, or in all money, 60 fucking minutes.
Well, how long does your podcast fucking last?
Half an hour.
Half an hour. No, about 50. Yeah, about this
So
sort of
what,
time.
you're going to edit this down?
No, I think we do a second one.
Okay, so call it a day on this one.
Call it a day on this one, and then I think we'll...
Because there's loads more to fucking talk about.
Well, we've only
We haven't even scraped the fucking surface yet. I'm
we
still
haven't-
in fucking shorts.
I know. We haven't popped the head of the pimple.
No.
As my old grandma used to
No,
say.
we haven't.
You know, and so let's do that. We'll stop it at this bit, and then we'll come back before Christmas and do part 2.
Okay,
Because there's so much fucking shit we want to talk about in there.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah.
okay. Brilliant.
Not at all.
Cool.
Oh, thanks very much, Krusher.
Pleasure.
Been an honour. Our pleasure.
And don't forget,
absolutely.
rock hard, rock heavy, rock fucking animal.
That's what we're going to fucking
They never
do,
let me
mate.
say the fucking bit when I was on telly.
Why?
Because it was telly.
Say, we've got to talk about your TV.
I know, we've got
fucking
TV.
Power hour, 3 o'clock in the morning, setting the
out
video.
on tour with Ozzy
Yeah.
twice, you know, Monsters of Rock.
Oh, fucking hell.
There's fucking loads there, mate.
There is.
Radio, BBC, GLR.
Yeah.
You know, I'm glad I don't fucking work for the BBC anymore.
No.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your time, mate.
Okay.
It's been proper fucking rock and roll.
It's been
It's been a
wonderful.
pleasure now. Fuck
It really
off.
has.
Leave me
Well,
alone.
fuck off
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
mate.
Fuck off.
Go on. Bye.